right, welcome back, everybody. These are the hits, the high school hits that have gone viral. They've been seen more than 9 million times on YouTube. Two football players from a high school in San Antonio, Texas, targeted a referee during the middle of the game. Now, they claim it was retribution for him using racial slurs, and a coach saying the ref needed to pay for making bad calls. Well, about 2 weeks later, we saw a similar incident. Another football player from a different San Antonio high school was caught on camera shoving a referee after the ref flagged him for his part in a fight on the field. So what in the world is going on? In tonight's edition of Fox 5 Unfiltered, we are digging deeper to find out what is fueling this bad behavior on the field. Is it the players? Is it the coaches? Is it the parents? Is it the craziness of what sports has become in our country? Joining us tonight to give us a little insight into the world of high school sports, Robert Harris, the head coach for Archbishop Carroll in Northeast D.C., and Aaron Skolnik, NCAA and high school referee. Gentlemen, thanks so much for being here tonight. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having us, Sean. Thank you.
Aaron, let me start with you. You've coached at the college level, at the high school level. How common is this? Do you see this sort of behavior when you're out there reffing games?
This particular behavior where these two players really just hit a defenseless official. This is the only official on the field with his back to the players on the field. I've never seen anything like that, especially here in this area. But, I mean, the last time we've seen anything like this was about 7 or 8 years ago. And, again, it also happened in Texas. But it's just uncalled for. You know, this official has no defense mechanism when he's working. He's concentrating on the play that's in front of him. And to have two players just come in and what would actually be an illegal hit against another player, just in and of itself.
Coach Harris, let me let you jump in here. You've been coaching high school football for years. You played high school football. What was your reaction when you saw this?
I was very surprised. Very surprised. I think in all my years of playing and coaching, I've never seen a player go after a ref, and I was very shocked to see that. And then when I heard that a coach may have insisted that it happened.
Let's talk a little bit about that. Some of the players in the first incident we saw said the ref used racial slurs, and that one of the coaches said we need to make him pay for making bad calls against us. How would you advise your players if they came back and told you something like this happened?
Well, I would have first advised my players that racial slurs have no place in the integrity of the game, of course. And if I felt that it was something that was going to get very out of hand, I would have taken my players out of the game. We would have just removed ourselves from that game.
And you would not condone, you know, as a coach, sending your athletes out there?
Not at all. As a coach, not condone my assistant coaches at all, because that interferes with the integrity of the game. And as coaches, we have a moral obligation and a professional obligation to make sure we maintain the integrity of the game.
Absolutely. So, Aaron, let me ask you, in your experience, you saw this video. Thank goodness we're not hearing about this all over the country, but so many people have been talking about this. It's been seen 9 million times. What do you think is fueling this? I mean, is it different style of coaching? Is it the players? Is it parents? What's fueling this?
I would really hope that this is an isolated incident and there's not something systemic with something like this. There is a culture, however, in sports in general, not necessarily just in football. It starts with the parents at home. It starts with the people that you see playing at the professional level. It starts at all of those things. So the kids are going to emulate what they see, okay? And what makes me nervous about an incident like this is that kids around the country are seeing this kind of behavior and they say, oh, that's cool. Look what they did to that ref. That ref was either, you know, not saying something inappropriate, which I can't condone, but it doesn't make it any better that they, you know, came in and did what they did. But it just doesn't. The students and the student athletes are really, they're out there to play the game, and we all love the game. The coaches, you know, Coach Harris spends a ton of time with his team. You know, those of us who officiate, we're certainly not in it for the money.
Right.
We're out there because we love the game. And there are lots of people out there that really don't necessarily want to see this game of football continue in its current form. It's too violent.
Absolutely.
People get hurt.
Let me bring in, hold on just a second. Let me bring in Scott Smith right now, sports director Scott Smith. Scott, you played high school, you played college. You deal with pro players all the time. From your perspective, I mean, you talk to the guys out there in the NFL. What do you think is behind this? What's fueling this?
I have to agree with the guests. I think that a lot of this is just isolated incidents. I mean, there's a certain disrespect for authority that can start to pop up a little bit. But when you're talking about young 16, 17-year-old kids that are impressionable and like they may just emulate what they see, but I'm going to pin this one on the coaches, because I think that in these situations, I just look back at my playing days and I can't imagine a situation where I would ever do so much as even jaw with a ref for an extended period of time, let alone put my hands on him with the coaches that I had, because I knew that they were kind of strict in their discipline, and that really, I think most coaches, especially at the high school level, their job is really to try to craft these young men into men of character, and I think that that's what a lot of them try to instill. And in this situation, I just can't imagine an environment where these kids feel like they can kind of do vigilante justice kind of out on the football field.
Let me bring in Coach Harris right now. I apologize, you can't hear what Scott said. He said in his opinion, he would pin this on the coaches because back in the day when he played, there was just sort of this air where he knew that they were not allowed to get away with anything like this. There was this level of respect that was commanded by the coaches. What, if any, lessons have we learned from this that you will instill, or are you already instilling in your players right now?
Well, I would say myself and many of my peers we follow that same trend that we were coached under. And so the discipline is still being maintained in a lot of our high schools. And like we said, this incident being isolated, it shuns a bad light because it did come from a coach. So as I said, coaches, we do have a responsibility. But all the adults that are taking part in that game have a responsibility for these young men or young women, whoever they may be, that we show them the right way to play this game.
All right, we want to thank you both for being here. Robert Harris, head football coach at Archbishop Carroll, and Aaron Skolnik, NCAA and high school referee. Thank you guys both. We should let you know that the two players in the first incident that we saw, they have been suspended from school. No word yet if any criminal charges will be filed against them. Of course, we're going to stay on top of it. I appreciate you guys' perspective. Thanks for coming in tonight. Hey guys, we are back here right now. We're going to kind of continue the conversation live behind the scenes where we were talking about what was going on in high school football. So I'm going to turn the camera. These guys have a couple more points they want to make. So Aaron, you were talking about, we didn't get a chance to talk about the point that there are laws in other states. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, there are 22 states that either have a criminal or civil statute that basically makes an assault on a sports official while they're doing their job, it increases the fines, it increases the jail time, increases the penalty. Unfortunately, here in Maryland, D.C., and Virginia, we don't have those additional statutes. So we're kind of at whatever the state's attorney or the district attorneys in Commonwealth attorney in Virginia decides to file as a battery, as an assault. What is it? And they have a tendency not to go with the higher charges because they're minors and they'd like to not deal with that. It's unfortunate that we don't have that, and I think there needs to be a legislative effort, in the state legislatures in those states, and then again with the D.C. Council, to make those criminal penalties, make them give them some teeth,
right.
And actually lay out what the penalty should be. And we talked in the segment also about how our coaches here, about how it really flows from the coaches, parents, and everybody else. Our coaches here in this area, I've had experience with, in my 13 years of officiating, I've had a lot of them, including Coach Harris here. I've done a number of games with his teams. They are all exemplary role models for their. I've never run into a head coach in our area that I haven't trusted 100% to do the right thing by his players and to do the right thing by the officials working the game. And it's really testament to football in this area. Texas, it's a whole nother deal. They take their football seriously down there. But I think we take it just as seriously up here in this area, and we have a good group of coaches. We have great officials. We have great players in this area, and it really is a testament to the level of ball that we have here.
Coach, let me ask you. So hearing that, I mean, thank goodness we haven't had any situations like that in our area. Okay, I'm coming just a second, real quickly. If you had a player, there was something like that, would they be suspended from the team? How would you handle it?
They would most definitely be suspended from the team. What I can say about our officials, the great job they do is if a kid is having a problem on the field, they will acknowledge us and come over to us and say, Coach, you need to take care of number 3. You need to take care of number 59. And then we have, as coaches, we have that option to pull them out the game and talk to them on the sideline and de-escalate the situation.
Yeah, I'd much rather deal with the coach than put the kid out. Let the coach deal with it. It's less paperwork for me too.
All right. So, what advice would you give parents who are watching right now? Because look, I know that as a mom who has watched my kids play from age 9 football through college, parents can get a little crazy in this too.
Yeah.
They can get a little hyped up. So, Coach, from your perspective, what sort of advice would you give to parents who get mad at the referees' calls? Look, we all do. Sorry about
It's
that,
okay.
Aaron. We all
Listen,
get
I
mad
understand.
from time to time. I mean, you know, what advice do you give to those parents? Because, I mean, I've heard of parents following refs out to the parking lot.
Yes. What I try to do in my program is I have a parent meeting prior to the season to address parent etiquette during the games, what our expectations are during the games from the parent as far as addressing coaches, their own child even, and the refs. And in the state of Maryland, where I was before I came to Archbishop Carroll, they have something called Respect the Game.
Mm-hmm.
And so that includes the parents, the student athlete, the coaches, and the officials, and the administration. And so everybody takes responsibility and accountability for their role in making sure we maintain the integrity of the game.
All right. Thank you guys. Did you get it? We get everything in?
I think
we
so.
want to say tonight.
I think so.
You guys have been great. Again, little shout out to Carol. You want to give?
Archbishop Carroll, #1.
All right, you don't get to shout anybody out
No
right now.
shout outs.
You must stay
Let's.
neutral.
The best games are the ones where they don't even notice we're there. So.
All right. Let me just say thank you to all you guys for tuning in. We appreciate it. This has been a little look behind the scenes at Fox 5. We continued our unfiltered discussion. You guys rocks. Thank you for tuning in. Tune in back now. Fox 5 News at 10. We're still live on the air. Actually, the news at 11 is coming up next. All right, we'll see you guys in just a few minutes.